amount of securities that is being given or made available to the commercial banks would be the one that CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria or of any country will be using to do or to control the circulation of money in the economy. Also, we have increased interest rates. Here, Central Bank increases the interest rate on loans and advances to be sanctioned by commercial banks. Customers and citizens, businessmen and women, companies, they do get loans from the commercial banks, and these loans attract some interest. This interest, there can be a kind of operation from the central bank that will give authority to the commercial bank that a certain amount of interest should be gotten from the loan given out, maybe 5%, 10%, 20%. For example, if the central bank wants to control the inflation, it can increase the interest rate on loans from that the commercial banks will be giving out. This will reduce the amount of money that will be given out to the citizens, because most people will not be able to cope with the high interest rates, and therefore they will withdraw from getting the money from the bank, and this one will withdraw money from the circulation and will make the money to be lesser in the circulation. Therefore, the inflation will reduce. The other policy is fiscal policies. Fiscal policies measures the control of inflation in so many ways. 1, taxation policy by increasing taxes. 2, reduce government expenditure. 3, reduce public borrowings, and so on. When taxation policy is by increasing the taxes, when the taxes are increased, that means the money will be withdrawn from the citizens, from the economy, by imposing a high rate of taxes on each citizen, maybe on the businesses or an individual income. With that, there will be much of the incomes that will be withdrawn from the citizen, which will cause a lesser amount of money to be available in the hands of the citizen. Also, reduction in government expenditure. When government reduce its expenditure, maybe expenditure on capital projects or on current projects, then there will be a lesser amount of volume of money in the circulation, because if there is increase in government expenditure, that means government will be pumping out money, cash into the economy. That one will cause inflation. But to control it, that means we need to reduce the government expenditure so that a lot of money will be withdrawn from the economy as a result. Also, the public borrowing. When the government puts a kind of barrier or a kind of blockage on how the citizen will be able to get money from the bank, to borrow money from the bank. There are so many instances whereby government can use to withdraw money from them. That is, it won't allow them to borrow much more money by giving them some policies that will not allow the banks to give out money to the businessmen and companies in the society. Effect of inflation. The effect of general increase in price of commodity can be negative and it can be positive. Now let's look at it one after the other. What are the negative effects of inflation? 1, an increase in the opportunity cost of holding money. That is, there will be an increase in the opportunity cost of holding money. That is, there are so many things that you will have to forego in order to hold on to some amount of money will be so high. Therefore, is a negative effect of inflation. 2, inflation discourages investment and savings. When there is inflation, people tend to have a huge amount of money to pursue a very small quantity of goods and services. Therefore, people will not be able to have enough to get what they want to really acquire. That's another effect. 3, decrease in the real money value. Inflation generally reduces the purchasing power of money, And the purchasing power of money is talking about the value of money. And to get the real value of money, that means the real value of money can be measured by the amount, the quantity of goods and services that a certain amount of money can purchase. And when there is inflation, whereby a huge amount of money is being used to purchase a little quantity of goods and services, therefore there is a reduction in the value of money, because a huge amount of money can only purchase small quantity of goods and services. Also, inflation lowers the standard of living for the citizen of a particular country, because so many people will have to struggle and gather so much money in order to purchase a very little or small quantity of goods and services. As a result, the standard of living of the citizens will be reducing. The capacity to really get the major things of life to make a living will be so high. Then another one is it leads to the hoarding with the expectation of future rise in price. Those that have one good or the other will continue to hoard, because they will be expecting the price of certain goods and services to keep increasing. They will be hoarding in order to gain more in the nearest future. These are some of the negative effects of inflation. What are the positive effects? Inflation favors some businessmen by making abnormal profit at the period. Though it will lead to uneven distribution of wealth in an economy, because it's only those businessmen that have some essential goods and services to render to the masses that will have enough and be able to get that. But notwithstanding, it's a kind of positive effect on their own side. 2, it can be used by the central bank in the time of recession by adjusting the normal rate to promote growth in the economy. That is another way that it affects the economy in a positive way. 3, it enhances economic growth, and also it reduces the real burden of public and private debt. That is, those that are owing at that particular period of time, it will be easy for them to pay back, because the value of money at the time they are paying back is lower compared to when they got the money, either from the bank or from a private organization. And the last one, it reduces unemployment due to nominal wage rigidity. That is, the rate of unemployment also may reduce at that particular period of time if the inflation at the moment is well managed. How to measure inflation? We have inflation. How should we control it in the economy? Inflation can be measured by a lot of index. The main measure is the price index. The price index is also referred to as the consumer's price index. The price index considers it is considered as the most common goods and services in the economy, like the price of goods and of foodstuffs, housing, and other essential goods in the society. That is, the prices of all these necessity goods are the one that we consider, that we use to measure the level of inflation. Price changes occur in both directions. Price changes can either be positive or negative. When it is negative, that indicates that there is deflation, or an increase indicates that there is an inflation. That means the negative indicates that there is a deflation in an economy, while the increase indicates that there is an inflation. The word inflation has always been associated with negative results, but there are positive results brought about by inflation. It is known in an economy that a mild inflation has to exist in the economy for the economic growth to take place. That is, inflation is not totally bad. There should be a kind of little inflation, little increase in the general price level, so that the economic growth will take place. But if there is no inflation at all, it's not good for the economy as well. Inflation is mostly grouped into 4 main categories based on the percentage of inflation, based on the increase, how much of the inflation exists in the society. 1, we have what we call creeping inflation. 2, we have moderate inflation. 3, we have rapid inflation. And 4, we have hyperinflation. Now, creeping inflation. Creeping inflation occurs when the prices of commodity rises by just about 2 to 3% over a particular period of time. This type of inflation will induce investment, hence it is good for the economy because it will induce the investment. Investment is always good for economic growth. That is by creeping inflation. Moderate inflation is felt when the prices of commodities rises between the rate of 4 to 5% over a particular period of time. This might not be harmful in the society, but it can easily be checked because it is not too high for the economy to maintain at that particular time. Also, we have rapid inflation. Rapid inflation occurs if the prices rise by over 6% and above. This can be harmful to the economy because it is very high and is going beyond the measure. And the last one that we call hyperinflation or galloping inflation. When this occurs, it can totally make the economy of the country to fail totally. That one will have gone beyond measure. That one will have gone beyond so many, and this can actually be caused by so many natural disasters that may happen to a country. Maybe war, immediately after war, or maybe immediately after one natural disaster or the other that greatly affects an economy. By just coming out of that natural disaster, there will be a kind of inflation in such society, in such an economy, and we can refer to it as hyperinflation.